Who wants ice cream?
Me. I do.
Twist my arm, why don't you?
Ice cream, eh? I wouldn't say no.
All right, settle down. Let's hop in the car and get some ice cream.
Where is your car?
Oh no, your car got stolen.
Little bit of Grand Theft Auto, is it?
The Thing or the video game franchise?
I don't think I really played those, but I know the general idea.
My college roommates are always playing one of them.
Vice City?
No, the other one.
San Andreas?
Yeah, that's it.
What's going on right now? Are we seriously not talking about how Mike's car just got stolen?
You know, Grand Theft Auto has this big open world map. I bet we could find ice cream there.
Finally, a real reason to get stuck in a video game.
Hey, I'm hip to it. Hey, what's this button do?
It encourages your delusions and helps you ignore reality.
San Andreas.
So where's the ice cream?
There it is.
Hey!
Ice cream!
Come back!
I'll never catch it like this.
If only we had a car.
I mean, we could steal a car.
Dan!
Stealing is wrong.
Well, do you want ice cream or not?
Obviously I want ice cream.
Yeah, let's steal a car.
How do you steal a car in this game?
Oh, you just walk up, open the door, and throw the driver out.
Not it.
Not... God damn it. Okay. There's a car.
Hey, what do you think you're doing?
I'm, stealing your car.
The fuck you are. I've got a harp in the back and I'll be damned if I'll let you just take it.
How much do harps even cost? Like $85?
More like 40 grand.
Holy shit.
Now beat it.
Hey Mike, why didn't you steal that car?
It's not my fault. She had a harp.
What are you, the three-headed dog guarding the Sorcerer's Stone?
Cancelled.
You try stealing a car if you're so good at it.
Maybe I will. All right, bucko, out of the car.
Excuse me? What do you think you're doing?
What's it look like? I'm stealing your car.
I don't think so. I'm an attorney. And if you don't turn around right now, I'll press so many charges you'll be in prison for the next 40 years.
Oh, that sounds bad.
It is bad. Now cease and desist so I can file this injunction.
He had to file an injunction.
Yeah, not so easy, is it?
Just steal something that doesn't have a driver.
Ooh, what about something that doesn't have a pilot?
Sweet, a helicopter.
Everybody hop in.
Okay, but I get to choose the music.
Just pick something.
Hang on, I'm looking for the DoD listening party.
But isn't this in the DoD listening party?
Yeah, wouldn't we just be hearing ourselves?
Damn it, Dan, how many times do I have to tell you it doesn't work like that?
Are you sure? Because it sounds like that's what's happening right now.
Can you just turn off the damn radio? I'm trying to fly this whirly bird.
I thought you said you could fly this thing.
No, all I said was hop in. It's not my fault I thought I could fly this.
Is this a good time to mention that my dad's a pilot and I've logged over 200 hours in small aircraft?
No, it's not a good time. 2 minutes ago, when we got in, this death trap would have been a good time.
Hey, there's the ice cream truck.
Where?
Look out!
Did anyone see where the ice cream truck went?
That way.
Should we follow it?
You start walking. I'll go find a car.
Okay.
Hey, you know how your stomach has to use more energy to digest cold foods? How many ice cream sandwiches do you think it would take to equal 10 miles on a treadmill?
Excuse me.
Oh, it's you. What do you want?
This is a court order for the unauthorized use of intellectual property belonging to the anonymous DoD contestant, Yvonne Hackstock, Numa Joe, The Man PF, Ian Martin, Unknown Pseudo-Artist, and the Sim As It Ever Was tour.
But I arranged that Sims cover.
Yes, but did you secure the permission of your collaborators?
I got the car.
Sweet.
Let's get some ice cream.
Are you not gonna ask about the lawyer you just ran over?
Nah, he's just some NPC.
Objection.
Overruled.
DJ Crazy Cat here, and you're listening to W34518. Everyone chill to the sounds of San Andreas.
All right. Welcome to Dwelling of Duels. Tonight is a very, very wicked special banner artist breakdown. I'm your host, evilsonic. With me tonight is my high school chum, my rotten soldier, Tom Campana. Tom, how are you doing on this, what is it, Monday? Can you hear me? Oh, Tom asked for 20 seconds. I guess he meant those 20 seconds. He switched to the ether. You can't hear Tom, but you will. And when you do, you'll hear him, and it'll be great. Now, I don't mean to tell tales out of school, but right now the other side is muted, so I can say pretty much whatever I want. It's never stopped me before. So what I'll tell you about Tom while he's working on the internet is that we went to high school together in Central New Jersey. Now, Central New Jersey is not quite North Jersey, it's not quite South Jersey. It's a little in between. Most of New Jersey debates our right to exist, and they say, no, you gotta pick one. And we say, no, we're good. It's Central. Philly's right there. New York's a train right away. That's where we were forged in the irons. Okay, he can't hear me. Video is like 20 seconds lag. Oh, so if I see someone murdering Tom, that's 20 seconds ago, which isn't great. So, let me think for a second with my brain. Okay. Try restarting. I'll keep these lovely people entertained. And Let's see if his Ethernet meltdown is rectified. In the meantime, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me, where is it? Did I figure out how to do this? Not that. Not that. Let me change this one here. Let me put this more in. Damn, this is big art. Okay, so right now, while I'm waiting for Tom to come back, I'm just gonna put some art on the screen. And this is the art that Tom did for this month. Platformers. So I'll give a little bit of a background on Tom while we're waiting on him. So I saw Tom. I went to high school with Tom. I mentioned that we'd done some theater stuff together. I don't know why. I kind of always thought of him as like a science and math guy. But he reminded me the other day that
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hot damn. If we can hear you.
Maybe my beautiful face doesn't need to be on there. Like just because it seems to be the wonders from internet is not being super friendly. I'll try again, but I worry that was the issue.
Do you want to draw a picture of yourself and send it to me, and I can put it there in its place?
Let me just try sending you the internet one more time. We'll see.
Okay.
Sorry about that. If that doesn't
work,
California
maybe
internet. It's high quality.
You'd think they'd have the good stuff because, the Silicon Valley's right there. Like, you're close to the ether.
You'd think we could.
It's like how here in Massachusetts you'd think we'd be close to, I don't know.
Alright, I'm gonna send you this.
For anyone who's keeping track, I'm on my third lozenge. Let's, It's taking a second. There we go.
Thinking
and thunk.
Hey, there I am.
Here we are. Pioneers of the internet who know how to point and click.
Back to like the 56K days on my end. You waited like 15 minutes to see a picture.
We talk about it's one of the things we talk about here, like how making music has changed over the years with the internet. Like now we have people who collaborate in all countries all over the world because file sharing is so much easier and instantaneous. I kind of wonder, I would imagine that there's a similar history of art and digital art, just going from the dial-up AOL days to here we are in the 56K days. I think we lost you a little.
Can I just turn on my video? Because it's gonna nuke this whole thing.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna
Streaming again. Alright. Tom, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. For some reason, OBS crashed. I'm back. Hopefully, my audio is coming through. They can hear both of us.
Yeah, it's coming through.
Hooray. Okay. So, let's not get too clever with the internet. I do have to put bar on just because it's weird not to have anything. No, I'm doubling up somewhere. Ah, fuck it, I'll figure it out later. Alright. This is Dwelling of Duels Banner Artist Breakdown. I'm your host, evilsonic. With me in sound but not sight is Tom Campana. Tom, here we are about, 20 minutes into internet trials and tribulations. How are you doing tonight? Did I lose you again?
Yeah, I sorry. You want me just to call you? The lowest phi solution to this problem.
Let me think. Yes. Call me. I'll
just put it on speaker. It's better than I think what people are dealing with right now.
You're probably not wrong.
Not the best solution, but I think people will
solution.
appreciate not hearing this anymore.
All right, let's turn that on. All right. All right. You're on speaker. Let me get you off of Sonobus. There we go.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear. This is the most.
It's lo-fi, baby.
This is the most DoD listening party we've done in a while. All right. So, I've said this about 17 times. Tom Campana is here with me. And you did this month's banner art. And it's really, really cool.
Thank you. I'm glad I heard you say that this time. If you've said it before, I appreciate the previous 16 times.
So Tom, I know you from high school. We did science and plays together. We were in the stupidest a cappella group in the history of the world.
I think you mean the best a cappella group in the history of the world.
Time will tell. I mean, we were more than one. There was Heinrich Ibsen and the Traveling Ibsens, but there was also Anton Chekhov and the Traveling Chekhovs.
Yeah, they were part of our joint master plan to keep all girls in high school away from us at all times.
Mildly successful. And so from those humble Central Jersey beginnings, you now make video game art, which is really goddamn cool. And I mean, like, you know, not just this video game music art that we see for Dwelling of Duels, but I know you've been doing some of this stuff professionally. Do you want to talk a little bit about the path that took you from the 609 area code to that, what is it, 310?
Yeah, sure. As an elder millennial, I'm old as dirt, like all of us, but I won't share the age. But like, I got out of college and I wanted to do something creative. I'd always drawn in high school, but I think my mom had convinced me that, like, don't go to art school. You gotta that's not real. So I was forced to. I was like a psych and film major at college, and then grad school. I really couldn't figure out what to do, so I went to NYU for writing, and that's what my grad degree in is in like screenwriting. I moved out to LA, and I think the challenge I had being a writer was two parts. One, that I was extremely lazy and didn't want to write, and two, that I wasn't that good at it. So I kept doing, like, I did little things on and off, but really never did an enormous amount of writing. But I found to actively avoid writing, I was drawing all the time as a way of avoidance. And I think somewhere around like the third year of doing this, I was like, maybe this should have been what I did in the first place. But like, as an adult who already went to grad school, like, it's not super easy to like break into art. I took a lot of, I needed a job, so I became a teacher for a while. But I started taking classes at this concept art school in Burbank called Brainstorm, where you basically like pay by the classes. And I took a bunch of those. And as that happened, I started to get like little freelance things here and there. So I don't even remember what they are. Like, I did some stuff with like a VR company, and I did some stuff with Geek and Sundry streaming like a while ago. Anyway, it's a lot of years of like little freelance things was enough for me to like get employed working as like basically an artist on a mobile massive multiplayer online game. Ended up falling apart, but now I work for as an artist for actually a fitness they have like rowing machines, and they play sort of fitness games on it. But so I do art full time now. It is my job. I mean, I think most people who break into video game art come straight out of art school, and it's sort of a straight path. But for those of us like me who like took a lot of meandering turns along the way, it takes a while to get there. But it is nice to now be able to make money off art.
And I mean, that is something that's really cool. We have a bunch of people here who do art professionally, and it's one of those fields where people seem to like constantly have that idea that we want exposure, and like that's the thing. Do you still bump up against that, or has the world gotten a little bit wiser to the fact that artwork is real work?
I mean, it's a mixture. It's like in LA, everyone is fronting all of the time. So you go to any like meetup or something, and everybody's telling you about like the project they're working on, being like super nebulous about like the timeline and the nature of it. I feel like in terms of is art real work, I think unfortunately a lot of people just answer with like, do you make money? That was sort of like, my parents are supportive, but I can tell like deep down that's what they think. Like, art was a hobby until I could pay my rent with it. And so I think a lot of people unfortunately like connect it to a financial component, which isn't true. I think you're an artist if you produce art, and if you're not producing art, you're not an artist, and that's basically the definition.
I can get behind that. I think that's pretty well spoken. And so, and I guess I don't remember if we talked about this a little bit, but we know we know John, who's done. What's John been doing? I know he does video game stuff, I think.
Well, John was sort of how I got my like first deck, because he moved out, and we've known mutual friend, we've known forever, and he worked in animation for a long time, so he did a lot of like boys action cartoons, and then from that he started doing sort of like Telltale Games-esque style, like video game writing, like a lot in that space of like sort of choose your own adventure stuff. And so it's sort of my first freelance thing I got there, because he and I both know the CEO of this VR company called Servios, and I think they were just looking for someone who wasn't like an expensive artist to like jam out some concept images for some game they weren't sure was going to go into development. So that was the first time anyone handed me any money for anything, but that's not a reliable route. Like I kept that job for about 4 weeks, and then they're like, well, we're done with this. Now we're going to go back to like the artists we're comfortable with. But it's helpful to get like some sort of credit somewhere, because everybody always wants to see if somebody else hired you before hiring you. Like, nobody trusts their own instincts. They just want to know that, did somebody else think you were good, basically.
Yeah. This is a non sequitur, but it's a little bit related. But I've been listening to the Talking Sopranos podcast, and one of the writers there, Terrence Winter, was talking about how he went to Hollywood and he couldn't get an agent, so he used his like old law school classmate as the agent, and he was about to like send him stuff, and he's like, wait, nobody knows what this guy sounds like. I'll just call them and say that I'm him. And like he would just do this kind of thing, and I think the story that I took away from it, or what he was saying, was there's no formulaic way to make it in Hollywood or in that, in that scene, because everybody kind of has a madcap story about how they got found.
Everybody is, as far as I can tell, everybody I've met who's like first job is always mostly through BS or luck. Like, you were there at the right time, or you lied believably enough that somebody let you do it. Like, that's like Steven Spielberg's story, that he just like camped out on a movie lot and just like kept showing up there all the time. But it's like you gotta just sort of make pretend until you can get far enough that you can do it for real.
That's actually it's how I got a job in finance. I was playing video games and waiting for the phone to ring from the temp agency, and then it was a Tuesday morning. I'm sitting there in my underwear wondering if I'm going to shower that day, and they're like, hey, somebody was supposed to show up for a thing and they didn't. Do you want it? And I had to think about it. And that ended up being at the firm that I've been working at for like 11 and a half years. So whether it's art or finance, the lessons are the same. Now, you've played video games. I don't know how much of it you heard because of the internet nightmare that was going on earlier, but the pre-show... What was that?
I said my apologies, but I heard mixed amidst a lot of like grumbling what sounded like the Rayman and Monkey Island theme songs briefly before I lost it again.
So, I know you had mentioned playing a lot of point and click growing up, and you mentioned Monkey Island. One of the musicians who's been around here in DO, he hasn't been around for a while, but he was there early days and has gone on to be a fairly successful video game music composer. Vert, aka Jake Kaufman. He did a Day of the Tentacle and Monkey Island medley. What was it? Secret of Monkey Island medley. So that was one of the songs. We had a Rayman Origins song, which was actually the primary artist is here with us tonight in the chat. Hey, Hydrosphere.
Oh yeah, that sounded great. I did hear most of that. So yeah, I appreciated that.
That was a good one. That was just a few months ago that one came out. Hey, the man. The man PF is just joined the chat, and he said, hi, evilsonic, with a phone. So, yeah.
This is the high technology way we've solved the problem of Spectrum Internet.
This is one of our more DoD approaches to Twitch streaming. This is the equivalent of just going line in with the Pod XT box, and if you know what that means, you know what that means. But the first thing we had, I don't know if you caught it, but it was, I think we talked about this a little bit. My COVID hobby was trying to get the webcomic back. I made the webcomic with some friends from high school that we went to school with, and we decided to do... By we decided, I mean I bullied them into recording audio sketches of us getting trapped in a video game. And so that was me, Peter, Brienne, and Dan getting trapped in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, looking for ice cream.
Which Grand Theft Auto? San Andreas?
Yeah. It was for PlayStation 2 month, and that was one of the reasons I picked that one, because I remember... Do you want to tell the story about how you got a PlayStation 2?
Sure, I will. I'll go back to start with the adventure games, but when I was a kid, my mom just had this conviction that console games were evil for some reason. I don't know how she came about it, that like if you plug the console into the TV, I'm gonna become like brain dead, like brain rot before brain rot. But she seemed to think like computer games were okay. So all of the first games I played were actually like DOS, freeware on my dad's computer that I played briefly while he was like out of his office. But then I mostly played like early point and click adventure games. So I played like Day of the Tentacle and all the Monkey Islands and that stuff. But I desperately wanted a console, but I wasn't allowed through all of the NES, SNES, PS1 era, and then Final Fantasy X came out, and I thought it was the most amazing looking thing I'd ever seen, and I absolutely had to have it. And they're like, fine, but we're not going to buy it for you. You can have a PS2 if you earn it by re-roofing the house, our house. So I re-shingled the entire house in order to get a PS2, which I still paid for. They just like gave me some of the money for it.
I mean, our house is like 30 years old, and like that's like around the time you gotta redo the roof. So I mean, do you think I could get like a neighborhood child to redo our roof for like a Switch or something?
A Switch 2? I don't know. I think maybe
I didn't say
months
Switch
ago
2.
when it was hard to find one, but now they're everywhere in Walmart, so I don't think you're gonna trick them into doing it. But I was so attached to the PS2 because it took so much to get it that I owned like every PS2 game in existence. So a lot of like my points of reference are that like platformer era of the PS2, like Rayman 2 and Spyro, and then obviously all the GTA games. So pretty much if I owned a PS2 game, I played it to 100% completion.
I didn't have a ton of PS2 games. Most of the PS2 games I have were things that I picked up used for like less than $5 each around the time that I was doing like a mix of screenwriting and making music. And one of the college projects I was working on was to do like I wanted to do like a radio drama about video, like that had a video game spin on it. So I bought this, like, just the most random ass array of video games that I figured would have generic music I could use as source references, like World Series of Poker and Mary, Kate, and Ashley Learn to Drive and shit like that. So I have, like, a really strange mix of PS2 games. I don't remember playing a whole lot on that system. But
yeah, I think as like an adult and then subsequently like a man-child adult afterwards, because I'd been denied consoles as a kid, I own every console except for like the most recent Xbox because the Xbone was hot garbage. But like I've had everything since then. Like the PS3, I have them all. I bought an NES at a thrift store like 3 days ago for $30. And I got it working, but I had to like foil the 72-pin connector using information off the internet I learned about.
That is, God damn, Tom, you fit in right here so well. Like that is a story that resonates with this community.
Boiling NES components?
Yeah. Getting an NES from a thrift store for $30 and boiling parts of it to make it work. If that, I mean, that plus the banner art you did this month, I mean, honorary DoD champion right here.
I have 2 games for the NES, which was, I wanted Mario, but I was too cheap to get it. I wasn't going to spend $18, so I got the Mario / Duck Hunt combo pack.
Which is a classic.
Home, and my wife loves ducks, and she's like, what the hell is wrong with you? You got a duck killing game. So then I had to buy DuckTales as my second game, so to balance out the duck murder.
Jesus Christ. killing me. I'm gonna need a second for that one. So
2 out of 3 of my games are duck related. I guess technically it comes with like track stars or something, but I don't think any humans ever played that game, even in like the 80s.
yeah, that's. I mean, that one sounds like bargain bin stuff, but DuckTales has some classically good music. The moon theme is a point of contention. Many people debate if it's in 7/8 or 4/4. And Duck Hunt has some great music. Not a lot of it, but what it has is good.
Doesn't it like switch time signatures or something? I remember watching some YouTube video about it.
In Duck Hunt?
The moon theme.
DuckTales, yeah. Like, so I'm not the right person to ask about time signatures because I'm an idiot who just tries to make things in 4/4. Whether or not it will fit there or not. But I know part of it's in 7/8. Let me see. Pull up VG lead sheets.
Yeah, I think it just like there's some intro parts that don't align with like a more conventional time thing because I used to play recorder, like classical recorder, as a very cool young child. I know that's awesome, and like they switch time signatures all the time because it basically when you get into like Baroque music, a lot of it's just like tootle around on your thing for what sounds good, and then it's like a lot of the time signatures are just slapped on there. So I remember at one point when I haven't played instruments in forever, but you would play stuff that would be like 5/8, 3/4, the next measure, just like random numbers thrown in, and it would just change every measure of the time signature.
Yeah, I'm looking at some sheet music for DuckTales, and it looks like in the intro it alternates between 7/8 and 4/4 each measure. Tom said he does not play instruments or has not played instruments in a very long time.
I played them growing up. I played the piano for like 8 years. I was perfectly mediocre.
Forgot about that.
I played the string bass. I played the clarinet. I was actually good at the recorder, though. If I had to be like, what's an instrument I was actually good at, like the nerdiest one, I was pretty good at the recorder.
So this is something I don't know if you know about Peter, but he's obscenely and unfairly really good at music, but he just has he has zero interest. So like if you ask him what his favorite like music like what's his favorite album or something, he would say like the Peter and the Wolf cassette or like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. And like he does not listen to music. He's just ridiculous about it, but he can like I don't remember where he got it or for how much, but when we were living together in Boston, he got an accordion. And
is he here, by the way?
He was texting me. Let me see. It'll be just my luck that trying to open the text like.
Well,
no,
I'm
that's
using your phone.
Oh, Peter said. Well, this was almost half an hour ago. He said, "I'm listening even though I'm at work." So I don't know if he's stuck around for the technical difficulties, but like.
Yeah, he missed 15 minutes of me switching on and off my camera.
But he got an accordion, like he figured out the Office theme like immediately. Oh, he's listening, but he's on the train, so he can't say anything. So this is our time to really badmouth Peter.
I hate that guy. That guy is a jerk.
Actually, when I told him that you were going to be doing this, he said that he had an IOU from you for $10,000, and I don't know if he was kidding or not, But he said, like, Tom Campana wrote me an IOU for $10,000 in high school, and I told him to take a picture of it, and I didn't see it, so he's probably lying like he always does.
That sounds like him. He sounds like a liar. It also sounds like that's probably true, but I have no idea why I would have done that.
We are deep into this stream, and we haven't seen some of your other art yet. I think we should take a look at some of that. Let me pull this up here. Let me go to the artist slideshow. All right, artist slideshow. Which one is it? Not that one. There we go. Okay. Peter says he's serious about the IOU.
What was it for? I have no conception. I mean, I believe it, unfortunately. I definitely don't have that. But I'll write him another one.
Yeah, just kick the can down the road another 20 years. Peter, text us about the IOU. While Peter's texting about the IOU, we've got the first image on the screen. Tom, are you following along on Twitch? Can you see what I see?
Yeah, like the one with the big alien guy and some little guys. This was for it's a player manual for like a tabletop role-playing game called Ninth Persona. I was approached by someone who knew, like, sort of one of those, like, somebody knows somebody, and he approached me, and it's like this weird sort of biomechanical mythology where it's like a far future sort of humans are merged with organics thing. So I did a couple of these images for them. I think the artist who normally works on that project did most of the work, but he has is more like a drawing sketch person, whereas I tend to do sort of fewer images, but like colored detail stuff. I mean, all my stuff sort of is a mix of 3D and 2D, because that's sort of primarily how I work. So the mythology of this universe is very complicated, and I'm not going to pretend to fully understand it, but my understanding from the description that was given to me is like the big alien guy is hatching the little alien guys out of these pods, and there's some ritual people celebrating. I did some like environmental stuff for them too. Mostly as an artist, I do environments. Is sort of the primary thing I do.
Okay, I have no idea what order these images are in, so hopefully it's going to be an environment, which will be a nice segue. It is not an environment. It's really cool though.
This is literally just fan art. This is fan art I did because I was annoyed that I couldn't post stuff because a bunch of it at that moment was NDA'd, and I got really into this audiobook book series called Dungeon Crawler Carl, which I don't know if people here are into, but it's pretty entertaining. It's like one of those like lit RPG genre things where somebody is working their way through a dungeon but in real life, and I got to the 5th book and there was a battle between like a million characters, and I was just like, well, someone wrote that's my wife wrote Goddamn It Donut. And then I just wanted to do something I could post, and I like Dungeon Crawler Carl, so I posted it to my Facebook, and I think that's when you contacted me, because I don't think you'd seen art I'd done in many years, and you're like, well, you can do this. For anyone who is familiar with Dungeon Crawler Carl, or isn't, he's this buff gentleman who runs around this underground dungeon run by aliens wearing heart boxers and punching things, and he's accompanied by a cat named Donut who rides around on a velociraptor. It's very entertaining. I don't think I sold it very well, but check it out because it's pretty fun to listen to.
I mean, you buried the lead by saying cat riding a velociraptor at the very end. Like,
that's Donut. Why is Chris Redfield in his underwear? That is Carl. This is from my actual. So I had 2 goals for doing this. One, I wanted to post something where I could post it and not get in trouble. And 2, I wanted to get into the Dungeon Crawler Carl wiki. There's a fan wiki that Like, basically anyone who's ever done Dungeon Crawler Carl fan art can get something on the wiki, and I was like, I like this book series. I'd like to get something on the wiki. So I posted it in Reddit with the goal of getting, and it's there now. It's been under book 5.
Dreams come true.
Yeah, that's my dream.
There's a lot to unpack here.
There's a crocodile guy. You can't tell from the picture, but he's Australian. I can't remember his name. There's also a tiger guy called Bautista, despite the fact that he's clearly an Asian character, and he throws stuffed animals at people. It's a very interesting book series.
All right. The next image that's coming up is a bit more environmental. If I had to guess what it is, it's a mix of the jungle and the Matrix.
Yeah, I think I did this while I was taking classes at Brainstorm, which is like a concept art school. I like sci-fi temple stuff, so a lot of the sort of personal stuff I do is in that sort of thematic space. I wanted to do something spooky and science fiction-y and vaguely alien, and then I wanted to do a spooky sci-fi temple. So it's just an environmental piece. I mean, I'd say like the only thing to sort of point out with these is that sort of how they're made is it's a combination of 3D modeling and then photo paint over it. There are concept artists who work 100% in 2D and everything's Photoshop and it's like photo bashed. But a lot of like game studios want someone who also has some degree of 3D background, especially because it is faster. So I tend to model stuff out in Blender, and then I sort of go as far as I can quickly, because there are people who will just do a scene like this 100% in 3D. They would like make all the textures, they texture it in like Surface Painter and something, Substance Painter, but I tend to take it to the point where it gives me a good base. It's got some of the lighting information in there, and then like atmospherics and like textural effects and environmental stuff. I like photo bash on top of it.
I remember you were telling me that about that the other day, like the mix of 2D and 3D.
That sort of advice I got from actually a couple artists, which is that because so many sort of concept artists nowadays do a mixture of 2D and 3D, you do have to be somewhat cognizant of like the proportions of 2D to 3D, because if you just sort of half render something and then half paint it, it'll look really weird and uneven. So there's sort of two approaches you can take with a mixture of 2D and 3D, which is it's like 20 or 80 or 80 or 20. So there are artists who will just like do a 3D block out where it's basically just some cubes and some stuff that gives like geometry information and lighting information, and then everything else like characters, textures, elements is just bashed on top of that. And then there's the 80-20 approach, which I'm generally much closer to, which is you do much more elaborate, complicated, detailed modeling. And so a lot of the information, like even some of them will have textures on it. So a lot of the information in the image is already included in the 3D render. And then the painting you're doing on top of it is primarily sort of secondary and tertiary details, and then like atmospheric stuff. So that... I will say that the image I did for this banner is sort of an awkward, like, 70-30 mix, because I kind of did whatever is fastest. Like, it was mostly 3D, but then I was like, I could probably make a wolf face faster out of 2D. But if you sort of equally balance it, it's going to look awkward. Like, it won't, like, sit visually well, because people are kind of sensitive to the difference between 3D renders and 2D paint over.
Okay, that's actually, so like 50-50 is
bad. Don't do it.
So yeah, that is really interesting. This next one, this one's like stunning. Islands in the Sky. I'm gonna give it a second for the Twitch to load, but this is another environmental piece of yours. Brighter.
That I did for the sort of MMO mobile game that never ended up making its way out into the world, which I think is common of many sort of games with smaller indie studios. But they had all these ideas for this sort of interconnected network of islands that sort of vaguely like the Avatar of floating islands, but with a big like ship that had crashed into the rocks before they descended into the air. The game had sort of a cartoony style, so a lot of the stuff I did for it is sort of lightly cartoonier than I would do on like personal stuff. So the colors are more saturated. They're sort of goofier, rounder shapes than you would expect in like a realistic environment piece. But yeah, this, and I actually can't remember what the other images I said. There might be another one from that game that are in there, but they're all sort of in this like slightly cartoony, slightly heightened style. I mostly did environments for them.
This is a different scene that is popping up. I know we talked about this one a bit. But at first I thought this was Skyrim until I saw like the guns.
This is for that game as well. They had these like goofy creatures that these hunters would hunt, and they were like, do a concept image for the hunter's cabin and make it like creepy and run down, and it looks like someone's collected all like the different animals that you attack. So like the monsters on the wall were actually like full creatures I'd modeled in ZBrush for the game. I just lopped off their heads. There is a crocodile in the corner, except it's like a Pokemon type crocodile. But saw the actual like 3D modeling game they based off this, and it looked absolutely nothing like that, because they blew it up to like 10 times the size to like fit people in. And I think the scaling of a dense, cluttered cabin doesn't quite work when it's like 100 feet long, but it had some of the stuff I'd drawn. But yeah, so I had to do a lot in this cartoony style, even though it's not really natively what I would do.
This last one, I like this one a lot too. And this is, I can't remember if you said this was from a game. It's got like a Zelda feel.
I think this is personal art I did. I just like sort of ruined, overgrown, ancient-looking spaces that are vaguely mystical, but often have some like light sort of science element. So this is a pretty clear example of sort of like an 80-20 balance, where this was like modeled in Blender. The plants were actually, I think, like Quixel Megascan plants, so they just like populated around it. And then the actual painting was mostly like atmospheric effects, glow, particles, like adjustments to saturation and focus. But the actual like the geometry was all in the 3D model.
This is really cool. Speaking of abandoned places, do you remember that like weird abandoned village near us in Jersey that used to be like part, like there was an insane asylum there or something?
You're not referring to the haunted barn, are you? Or is that a separate abandoned thing I went into as a teenager?
It wasn't a barn. It was like a full-on village. It had like all these abandoned buildings. I remember like it was in the summer of 2003 that like I drove through it a few times, and it was weird. Like there were houses there, but everything was just overgrown, and all the houses had like a weird like red or blue like warning light, like an alarm light on the outside. And one time the cops ran us off.
I was thinking of this barn that was on the way to like Bucks County, Pennsylvania, that we just drove by a couple times, like a fully collapsed barn, and eventually it was like really dark and we were idiots, so we were like, let's go into it. And it was for the most part what you'd expect, just like clearly a lot of people had been like shooting meth in there for like years and years, because there was like 2 feet of bottles and like needles in there. But we sort of picked our way through the collapsed floors, and it was cool. But then we got to the finally like the old farmhouse, which was half collapsed, and
the final
had, like,
boss battle.
Well, kind of. It had these like old like radio from the 50s and stuff. And then there was just this super narrow attic stair that was like partially concealed that you could get in one at a time, but I really wanted to go up the stairs, so all we had was like the light from like flashlights on our phone, and I went up this like rickety stair with like broken staircases to the top to this like empty attic and turned the light on, and something suddenly like moved and ran at me, and I was like, what the hell am I looking? It was this gigantic like turkey buzzard just charging at me. I ran down the stairs and he ran out of the barn and didn't come back. And then, like, the next day, the police had, like, roped it off because they clearly figured out people had been inside that shouldn't have been.
So this is what you do when you grow up in Central Jersey, because, you know, it's what you go to war with the soldiers you got. You do the things you have around you. We went into abandoned places. Peter just texted me that he has to get off the train, but he respects you, and he wants his money.
Tell Peter I respect him, but not enough to give him his money.
I'll tell him that. All right, so that's the slideshow, which is excellent stuff. I also just realized, by virtue of the innovative way that we're doing the stream tonight, I have to keep an eye on my cell phone battery. It's at 24%, so like we got some time, but it's a variable I hadn't accounted for.
I'm just trying to keep you on your toes with my unique technological requirements.
Hey, that's what we're all about here. I mean, this, like, one of the big things we love about making music and doing the stuff we do is it's kind of like problem solving and coming up with ways of doing things, and sometimes it's how do you get sound recorded from this one thing onto another thing. And now it's like, you know, people can just record sound off their computer, but it used to be like, I need to get this, you know, 8-track player with an adapter that can go into this thing that has a different adapter that can go into that thing. So there's some kind of like fitting, this is the roots of DoD, that I've got you on speakerphone holding you up to the microphone.
Sure, it's adding some truly wonderful audio texture.
I mean, yeah, you know, it's coming through crystal clear. I'm sure there's some interesting stuff going on with the compression. So here's what I'm going to do now. Wait, I'm about to sneeze. Hang on. Or maybe I won't.
You did.
I almost lost my lozenge, but I kept it. All right. Here we go. Let me move this around a little. Okay. So we're going to take a look at the banner art from this month. I'll try to figure out a way to like kind of zoom in on stuff, but starting from like the top left, I mean, I know it's Platformers Month, so one of the things you wanted to make sure was in here were some platforms.
Yes.
You want to tell us about them bricks?
About the bricks and the platforms?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in general, this is following that I tend to use a lot of 3D as a base, and then paint onto like Rayman, because I couldn't think of a way to make him realistic. He has nostrils, his shoes are a little bit more realistic, and his hair is a little less cartoony. But yeah, I was like, I can make him hideous, so I can just go with Rayman. I sort of started, and I was like, I like platformers, and I guess I want to do like realistic version of that. But I didn't really have a good idea for that, other than like I had an idea of how to do Mario, and I had an idea of like, well, the platforms, I can take them, make them look jaggy and freaky. So the platforms are all 3D models. The question blocks I just fully modeled in Blender. It's basically just like a cube with some extrusions and stuff. The bricks, so Quixel Megascan. A lot of this, when I started, I was like, so where are we on, like, free assets? Do we care? I can do everything from scratch, or is it just like whatever gets the job done? And they're like, well, as long as it's not like illegal, go for it. So Quixel Megascans are a free asset that is used extensively in like UE5 Unreal Engine games, and they basically make stuff like leaves of grass or textures. They had a single brick that I downloaded, and then I took that brick and like spanned it all over the place and messed with the shape and like the silhouette. And so like Mario stands on a brick, and I wanted to make a more realistic, like old collapsed version of that. And then they all have some version of like high-res Megascans texture on it. But Mario was the first actual character I did. I don't know how like technical you want me to get this, if it's interesting for anyone, or just Mario is a 3D model with heavy paint over him.
I mean, you can go into as much detail as you like. I mean, this is the time to drop knowledge and lore. Like, this is the equivalent of the IMDb trivia page. Like, let's hear it.
So, there's many ways to do human figures in art. There's you just paint it. There's you use photo bash elements, which, like, if you look at like Last of Us concept art or stuff like that, it's all photos that have been like, but it's usually like 5 people stitched together. And then there's like using 3D characters. I'm like pretty decent with ZBrush, but I didn't use that here because it's a humanoid. ZBrush is if you want to make like a 3D model of like all features in video games. Most of them start with ZBrush, which is like an organic modeling software. This, I just took a human model. There's a program that's for free called Daz 3D that just lets you get like humanoid models, and then they have clothes, but they charge obscene amounts of money, like $25 for a hat, which is a total waste of money if all you're doing is using it as like a reference point. So I like found a buff human and found some pants, and then I took it into Blender and remodeled all the clothes to make him look like Mario. So like his hands, I just like extruded outwards in gloves and like retextured it, and he had some pants which I remodeled and moved around to look like suspenders, but then I stuck a hat on him, and then the mustache is just paint. But all of these I knew I wasn't gonna, like, I was gonna do some like filtering on top of it. So once it was rendered out of Blender, I like painted out parts of it. It all has this effect that's designed to make it slightly less of a 3D render and more sort of painterly, where I apply like a bunch of like filter layers on top of it, basically like reduce the amount of detail to the point where like paint strokes aren't going to look crazy. They're going to look like they sort of fit in with the general style of it. The crash next to him was like a
very
quick,
vicious.
well, it was actually an original Crash model that I just found for free, but looked terrible. So I just found that there's a website called Mixamo you can use, where you can upload any sort of 3D model if it's properly sort of situated, and put it into like a pose or an animation. And out of that, I got a really crappy looking sort of Crash-like shape in a crouch position, but I knew with this one that this was going to be mostly just paint, because it's too hard to like do. It would be too much of a waste of time to try to do like fur and a realistic like monster face. So I took the 3D render and then painted all the fur. I took a wolf and modified that and stretched it and painted over the wolf face and recolored everything. So this one is sort of that awkward 50-50 blend of 3D and 2D that you're not usually supposed to do, but it was definitely like the fastest way to do it. It's like every organic part is mostly paint, and like the pants and stuff are mostly 3D model.
And you might guess this from the handle that I've chosen for myself, but I'm a big fan of Sonic. So let's talk about that blue hedgehog right there.
the hedgehog's like a photo mostly with 3D, like the 3D shoes, a bunch of hedgehog photos stitched together. Yeah, I just like Sonic. I added super late because I was like, there's two approaches. I could do like a really cool Sonic that took me forever and was still gonna like look dumb and like not really fit into the space I had, or I could just do a hedgehog. That's what I decided to do. Just like stick a blue hedgehog in there and then put some speed lines around him. Because personally, I thought it was funny. I couldn't think of any.
You
like,
understood
cool
the assignment.
So he's just a hedgehog with sneakers, and that's it.
All right, I'm gonna move us over to the other side of the page here. So let's take a look at. We got our PlayStation Purple pals. Biblically accurate Sonic. But we got some Rayman, we got some Spyro. These are some of your beloveds.
Yeah, I mean, when I was like, I'll do realistic stuff, all I had in my brain was like, I bet I can think of Mario and like, what if Spyro was a dragon? But same like, so with the dragon, I remember asking early on like, can I use 3D assets or should I model this from scratch? And you're like, it doesn't matter. So with this, I found some like super terrible looking like base 3D dragon that I then modeled over. So it had like a head that made no sense. So like the head I remodeled, the tail I remodeled, and then I painted heavily over it. But I used it as a base and then like added horns and recolored it and repainted it. But I would say, if you're doing stuff that's like in a book, make sure to read things from scratch. But I think the focus here was like, let's output something that's like visually interesting quickly. But like the Rayman, somebody already pointed out, like, why is Rayman just Rayman? I couldn't think of how to do Rayman, but I loved Rayman. Like, I played so much Rayman as a kid, and I was like, Rayman will be in this. But how do you make Rayman realistic? And I was like, he could have arms, but then he's not Rayman. So he has hands that have the correct number of fingers, which is subtle, but he has a scarf that's slightly more realistic. His shoes are slightly more realistic, and he has nostrils. But I also figured, like, I don't know how many people know Rayman, so they're not going to know if this Rayman's more or less realistic. It's just a goofy little purple guy flowing by.
We'll know who Rayman is. And moving down a little bit, so I'm pretty sure this is Conker that we have in the bottom right.
Yeah, it's a squirrel.
But I don't remember where it came up. Squirrel with a Gun is a game that exists.
Is it really?
Yeah. I mean, we all know it's like Conker, but there's a game called Squirrel with a Gun. We also realized, when did this come out? But back in almost 10 years ago, there's a single cover on the DoD website of a game called Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel. So we've been coming across all these violent squirrels lately.
So Conker does sort of look like this, but if nobody was like, that's Conker, it's probably because like the image of Conker where he has the army helmet and the two guns, he also has a t-shirt, which is like a pretty key part of the Conker outfit. But again, just like, I thought it was funny if it was just a squirrel.
Yeah.
If I covered it in a t-shirt, like it's like more obviously Conker, but then it's also not just like a goofy squirrel with a gun, which I just thought was like funny in the corner, because it's like vastly disproportionate that he has a big army helmet and two guns and he is just a regular looking squirrel.
And I do like there's a warp pipe, but it's nowhere near Mario. Spyro's using the warp pipe.
Yeah, I think that was me. Like, I should throw some more platform elements in here, but I also am running out of space to put it. So I was like, I feel like if it's platformers, there has to be a pipe somewhere. And then I just threw it there because there needed to be something on that side of the screen. It is hard not to like the main challenge of this sort of thing is just if you've got a million things at once, there needs to be some sort of like visual focal point. And because it's a banner, the focal point kind of has to be like none of the characters. I mean, it's sort of nominally Mario, but it's mostly just the middle of the frame, which is like the name.
Yeah.
So
We got those fireballs in there and spikes.
Thank you. Yeah, the fireballs are just like painted in there. It would have been too much effort to like model out a fireball in 3D. It would have taken a lot of time and not added much visually.
Any other element? Like I think we've gone around the screen. I'll go to the bottom left. We saw some of this earlier, but just to highlight, I really like that platform spikes. I'm gonna give it a second on it to show up on Twitch, but in the bottom left of the image, or bottom left of the whole banner, but bottom right of this screen here, there's that platform spikes in the distance. It's zoomed in here so you can tell it's spikes, but when it's zoomed out, it looked like, I don't know, your signature, or it looked like, you're signing the image. So it was kind of cool just to see more spikes.
Yeah, I think they're probably being lost in the atmospheric haze. But so it's like in environmental art, one of the ways you can show distance is by things fading into the background sky color. Like if you go outside and you look at faraway mountains, if you're near mountains, they'll always be sort of vaguely bluish. And that's because there's layers and layers of illuminated gas, the air between you and that. So the farther it is, the more of the atmosphere you see. So in this case, there's a lot of purplish fog everywhere. So as stuff gets farther away, it's going to get more purplish, but it's probably too purple to be legible. Atmospheric perspective. But I'm just trying to inarticulately explain why something in the far background is so purple, it's hard to tell what it is.
And I do love that the coin block there. I know you already mentioned that one, but this is a good view on that.
I guess the one other thing that's even in the image is the actual text, which is a 3D model. If you go into Blender, I don't know if people use Blender, but you can literally like type text in any font and then extrude it into 3D. And it's helpful because it like situates it in the world and you can apply lighting to it.
That's really cool. And actually, I don't know if she's watching right now, but my wife Jackie's been doing some art stuff lately, and I was looking over her shoulder, and she was going through dozens and dozens of fonts the other day, and that was kind of cool and fun to see. But yeah,
everyone should learn Blender. It's free. And if you have the slightest interest in 3D, it's a good tool.
I think we've heard that there've been others who've joined us who've talked a bit about the process, and Blender comes up a lot.
It was like a joke like 10 years ago because if you go back like 20 years ago, I think that everyone coming out of art school either used like Maya or like 3ds Max. And those were like the legitimate 3D modeling tools. And then if you were an organic character modeler, you use like ZBrush. But Blender was this like freeware software that was just started, and for the longest time it didn't do anything. And they just kept adding to it and adding to it and adding to it to the point where like it's commonly used now in like actual like game production. It has a lot of the same abilities as like Maya and 3ds Max, but it's completely free. There's so many things now that you can do with it that it becomes somewhat overwhelming to learn it, but there's good tutorials, so it's worth learning if people are looking at it as a way to get into 3D modeling.
Do you have any like referral, like anything that you would refer people to for those tutorials, or just kind of a go on YouTube and find it?
There's a tutorial that everyone who's ever learned Blender all watch, and it's called the donut tutorial. So Google or go to YouTube and look for Blender Guru. He's this gentleman who put out hours and hours and hours and hours of content on Blender. That's how I first started learning it. But the video everybody's supposed to start with, he walks you through how to model a donut, and you start with like how to model a cylinder, or like a torus, how to make like organic shapes, how to use particle systems. So do the donut tutorial. Everyone who's ever done Blender has to make a donut at some point.
That's a good philosophy, a good ethos.
Make a donut. Yeah, it's a good life goal.
Man, this is, I love doing, I know nothing about art. I say this every time. I know nothing about art. This is all like, I kind of understand it, but it's so fascinating to hear about the process. I love this.
Somebody in the chat wrote, "I'm afraid of Blender nodes." I love shader nodes. I was terrified of geometry nodes, but like I'm sort of, once you start doing it, they become less scary. But start with figuring out shader nodes before you try to do anything with geometry nodes.
All right. I know. So we're kind of technical difficulties notwithstanding. I think we're kind of at the hour mark. Tom, I mean, we've been talking a lot about video games and a lot about art, a little bit about music. Do you? I mean, I roped you in here. I don't know how much you know about video game music, or if you follow any musicians, or if there are any soundtracks you remember listening to when you're growing up or anything. But what's your video game music worldview or experience like?
I mean, I played a lot of video games as a kid. I love the music from them. I can answer like what my favorite video game music of all time is. It was a mixture of the Monkey Island theme, because I played the crap out of those games. And in the original Rayman, there's a level where you slide around on these it's actually like a music world, so it's called Band Land, and there's this level where you go super fast called Allegro Presto, and the music that played in that particular level was like my favorite music as a kid. So I think the stuff that's nostalgic for me is a lot of like sort of the older like 8-bit stuff, and then I guess Halo, because I played the crap out of it in college.
Yeah, we all played Halo. What was the song from Rayman?
I think if you Google Allegro Presto Rayman, I don't know, it made me feel like I was going fast.
Allegro Presto, not Pesto, Presto. Rayman. Okay, Rayman Redemption.
Let's see if I can find this.
I'm hoping I can download this somewhere so I can use it to play us out.
I mean, I found Let's Plays of that level. I don't know if you can download it easily.
Let's see. Rayman Wiki, tell me about this. Oh, it needs to verify that I'm human. Okay. Second level in Band Land.
That sounds correct.
I can't tell from the names of the tracks on the soundtrack. Harmony from Rayman. Harmony. God damn you, KH Insider. You are not helping me right now. Oh, there we go. Found it. Okay. Let's download this. Alright. So, Tom, is there anything else that you would like to share with us tonight, or talk about, or anything like that, before I play us out?
Old games are really good. Old point and clicks are still fun. They should make more of them outside of Germany. I don't know why Germany is the only one that makes point and click adventures. And I guess the last thing I'd say is, like, it took me a really long time to make it to a position where I get paid as an artist, and like I'm always discouraged myself because I'm not super young anymore. But if there are people out there who are artists, I would say, like, I almost gave up on it many times, and you can still do it regardless of what age. It just might take you longer than you think it will.
Those are some excellent words. And Tom, I'm so glad that I happened to log on to Facebook and see your art right when I did, and I was like, holy shit, we got to get this nerd in on DoD. If nothing else, this has just been a fun time tonight to talk about your work and the process, and technical difficulties notwithstanding, adjusting my arm, which is getting a little bit tired, but thank you so much for joining us. I wish people could see the beautiful face that I saw the other day when we were doing our tech check. But
I'm so handsome. Anyone listening, don't whoever that guy was in the first 5 minutes, I'm so handsome.
Yeah, and I mean, I was looking forward to people talking about just the multitude of beards on the screen when it was going to happen, because I mean that's fun for me. I like going gray in there. All right.
Yes.
Well,
it's been a pleasure. It's good to speak to you again, Mike. It's been a while.
Yeah. Do you ever get out to New Jersey anymore?
I actually have to go 4 times a year because my current job requires me to fly to Manhattan 4 times a year. So I'll be there in the 15th of December.
Oh, yeah. I'm missing. I'm gonna be. I think we're going down on the 19th to do a Christmas trip. 19th to the 21st.
I'll still be there because I'm required to be there for a while. I'll be there through early January.
All right. Well, I've got your number now, so if there's a chance for us to catch up and grab a bagel or pizza or one of those other things that they don't do quite as well in other parts of the world that they do so well in Central Jersey.
Yes, definitely. And thank you, Mega Mixtape. I appreciate it. But yeah, that sounds great. You have my number that still has the New Jersey area code because it helps save me some money on my phone bill.
Oh, me too. Keep it in the family. All right. Tom, thank you so much. And all right.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right, everyone. That was Tom Campana. I have a link to his arts. Let me grab this. His ArtStation link. Let me drop that in the Twitch chat and pin it here in the last 2 seconds. And yeah, this is the month. It's Platformers Month. Thank you so much to Tom for doing this art. We are going to have our submission deadline is January 1st, New Year's Day. Let me double check. Deadline. Submission deadline is 24 days, Thursday, January 1st. The listening party is going to be Friday, January 2nd, 8 p.m. Eastern. And also, don't forget, this week we are going to have an album release. I'm going to get joined here by none other than Ronan Op F and Kev Ragone for Chrono Trigger EP The Future and Past, as well as Ronan's Earth Pops Volume 1 and more. That's going to be this Friday, December 12th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And without too much more ado, I'm going to turn off Sonobus and turn on Fubar. And keep it right here because this is Dwelling of Duels. Duels, duels, duels.